Hello everyone, welcome to the secrets of Marana Karaka Sthana. If you've never heard of this before, it means where planets are in a position in your chart where they are actually dying. Don't become afraid of this. It's not that you are dying, but that some significations in your life are in trouble. A birth chart or any of the Varga charts cannot be understood without understanding Marana Karaka Sthana, because then we can dig into the deeper karmas, the deeper troubles, and also help ourselves to deal with so many situations in our life. So we're going to go right into the deep ocean of Jyotish now. We're not just putting in our toes, we're going a little deeper. So hold on to your seats. If you're new to my channel, please sub below. It'd be great to have you on board. And if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Put your comments below as well. I will answer as many questions as I can. Let's go. So the word Marana just simply means death. Karaka means a significator, like Venus is significator for relationships, sun for the father, and so on. Sthana means the place. So the place where the significations of the planet go into a death-like situation. Why do planets die in your chart, or indeed in the Varga chart? By the way, I want to say straight away, Marana Sthana positions can be seen in every single Varga chart. They are seen from ascendant only, not from the moon. Ascendant only, Lagna. Now, why do planets die? They're not dying. You're not dying, but the significations of the planet, the Karaka significations, are not functioning well with some position in the chart. One house in particular becomes a struggle, a real death-like struggle for each planet, including Rahu Ketu. It's like this, everyone. I'm sure you've had situations in your life, the older that we get, the more we will experience it, where you feel like you are metaphorically dying. You just can't function well. It could be relationship situation, could be job, work situation, home situation, anything, where you feel that you are not fully able to function. That is what is happening to each of the grahas when they are in a Marana Sthana position. Here then are the Marana Sthana positions, everybody. The place where the planets actually cannot thrive well. There is difficulty, karmic difficulty, but there is a way out. Do not fear. I'm going to get you some positive information about this, but let's look at them. The sun in the 12th house is definitely Marana Sthana, moon in the 8th, Mercury in the 4th, and Mercury in the 7th house. Venus in the 6th, Mars in the 7th, Jupiter 3rd, Saturn 1st, Rahu in the 9th house, and Ketu in the 4th house. As I've said, you see this from ascendant only and in all the Varga charts, not just birth chart. D9, D10, every single Varga, you can see Marana Sthana. Another situation when you can see Marana Sthana from the Mahadasha chart. So when you go into any Mahadasha, you put the Lord in ascendant and you judge the chart from there. And if you see any of the grahas in a Marana Sthana from the Mahadasha Lord, that bhukti becomes difficult. Check the video on my channel, Mahadasha chart, to find out more about how to actually draw that chart and to use it. Now, a very important thing to understand about Marana Sthana positions in your charts, everyone. When you have any graha in this Marana Karaka Sthana position, watch out for any other planets that are with that planet. So say you have Sun, 12th house. It's a difficult Marana Sthana position, but better Sun is alone. Saturn 1st house, better alone. Jupiter 3rd house, better alone. Why is this? Because as soon as any other graha, any other planet is in the house of a Marana Sthana planet, they become dragged down. They become affected by the Marana Karaka Sthana significance. It's difficult. It's a struggle. They're being sucked into that whirlpool. Yet another influence, everyone, is seen in the house ruled by any Marana Sthana planet in your chart. So when one planet, even one planet more may be involved, go into Marana Sthana in any chart, birth chart, Varga chart, check the house ruled by that planet. So you've got Jupiter 3rd house. what houses are Pisces, Sagittarius in that chart. They will be impacted. They can have trouble because of this Marana Sthana position. So you should take into account the house ruled by the Marana Sthana planet in that chart as well. Question often asked, so is, will these Marana Sthana positions affect me all of my life or just in the Mahadasha? Well, the truth is, everybody, they will affect you subtly all of your life. And don't forget, most people have some of these positions in at least some Varga charts, if not in D1 chart. So they are going to affect you subtly and then very strongly Mahadasha. You should be aware, everyone, though, that Marana Karaka Sthana positions can be cancelled, can be lessened in your chart if certain factors are in place. Now, we'll discuss those later on in the video in some detail for you. But everybody should understand this, cancelled or not. Marana Sthana positions of any graha still have positive side. And I will definitely bring that out as I explain each of these positions. So let's begin. So when the sun is in the 12th house of your chart or any chart, he's in a Marana Sthana position. The sun is not happy, 12th house definitely. Of course, he's not strong, 7th house or 4th house. But in this, he's in a particular death-like situation. He is the king. He cannot rule from the bedroom. He cannot rule from the house that is a shadow house to ascendant. In some respects, sun is your ability to have authority, power, is your ability to get wealth, resources. Now, this does not mean you will not attain these. Other things have to be seen, most definitely. Some very wealthy people have sun 12th house, particularly D1 or another Varga chart. But this affects your sense of self most definitely and relationship to the father. Now, sun is our true essential self, Atman, spirit, soul, how we sparkle in life, how our true spiritual self comes out. Now, here, you can truly not know yourself, not understand yourself even. Sun hidden away in this Marana Sthana position, it's hard to trust other people, hard to really reveal true self to others sometimes. You can become secretive, reclusive, sometimes hiding away. There can be isolation in life. But if that is not happening by other factors in your chart, of course, you will nevertheless find it hard to be your true self. Let other people truly know you. You are hiding it away for some reason. You don't fully trust to be creatively who you are. That is generally seen. Of course, you have to see the actual chart involved. D1 chart is your general indication throughout life. D9, marriage, fortune. So D9, sun in this house, you can't truly express yourself in the relationship, or at least in one relationship. You have to see the whole chart, unless it is completely cancelled, that is. And in the D10, difficulty to creatively be yourself in your career, and so on. You may have problems with authority figures. Father may be absent, may be lost to you, may be sick, or you may have many difficulties with him when the sun is in the 12th house. There can be health issues because sun is, of course, general vitality. When he's in this Marana Sthana position, there can be bone issues, there can be heart issues, cardiovascular issues. Take care of all of these factors. And because sun represents father, sometimes genetic factors coming from father's line can impact the health as well very strongly with this position. So what's the silver lining? What's the good thing about sun, Marana Karaka Sthana? Ego is being reduced. When the ego is reduced, you are free to do the opposite house, serve others. Sun is in the house of large institutions like hospitals, prisons, asylums, special schools. In all of these situations, you can serve, you can heal others, you can work for others fully because ego is not so much getting in the way. By other factors in your chart, you may climb to high position in life, but sun has to always put ego down. It has never to be about you in the limelight, but in service to other people. By the way, of course, sun is government itself, so government job can often be seen by this position. When the moon is in the 8th house, he's in a Marana Sthana position. He feels like he's dying. He cannot thrive here. Why? Because this is a natural house of Scorpio, the 8th sign, which is moon's debilitation. Plus, Karaka is Shani, complete enemy to the moon. The moon is stuck here. The moon cannot flow. Moon's Jala Tattva is completely dried up in this Marana Sthana position. So the emotional nature of the moon, the caring, nurturing nature has been curtailed. It doesn't mean that you are not a caring person, nurturing person, but you find it hard to express it. These feelings just do not flow easily for both male and female. Since the moon is mind, manas, naturally the moon is becoming depressed, is becoming overwhelmed here. And that can be a general factor. Many mental health issues come up like OCD, depression, anxiety, all of these things when you have the moon in the 8th house. At the same time, this Marana Sthana moon is very needy of love, needy of attention, needy of relationships. A great demand is actually made on relationships for these unfulfilled emotions, unfulfilled needs. Of course, moon is a mother as well, so early relationship with the mother will be impacted. Mother could have been cold, could have been unavailable, could have not been able to nurture you, or she could have had extremely close relationship with you, but could have been over demanding, overwhelming emotions, a bit controlling of you. Either way, it was not easy nurturing. It just did not flow easily for you. Later in life, moon here can affect maternal instinct in a female chart. It can mean that you can be very fond of your kids but have some difficulty emotionally bonding, or at least with one particular child. Or you can have an overwhelming experience of devotion to a child but be somewhat let down by that particular child. There is some difficulty definitely in the mothering factors when you have the moon in the 8th house. In a male chart, Marana Sthana moon gets very psychologically complicated. You may be looking for a mother figure in the wife. You may be looking for that nurturing which you did not receive as you would like to from the actual partner. It depends on the whole chart, who you are, partners, relationships. But generally, male chart, moon in the 8th house affects relationship and flow of emotion. Deep flow of emotion can be blocked with this moon in the 8th house. A Marana Sthana moon can give weakened immune system, susceptibility to infection as well. It can give weight problems occasionally, but water retention as well. So drinking a lot of water definitely helps. There can be congestion, difficulties with the breast or chest area, even the lungs with this position. What's the good side about moon here? Moon aspect 2nd house. You can hold family together. You can have a sort of glue attitude to the family. You can become the person who heals wounds within the family. It's a tremendously powerful factor. But not just family. Moon in the 8th house has a healing power. This is the actual house of psychotherapy, occult, deep wisdom, and medicine. Moon here can be fantastic in medical work, counseling work, psychotherapy work. You've gone through so much in life, so much emotional upheaval. You can heal other people. You can support other people tremendously from this position of the moon. Mercury, Buddha in a Marana Sthana position. First things to say about both Mercury 4th and 7th house. Mercury is perhaps the least troubled planet in Marana Karaka Sthana because he is adaptable. He is the most adaptable of all the grahas. He can literally adapt even to this death-like situation and thrive in many instances. And as I've said earlier, if there are other planets with Marana Sthana, this is a big impact on that house. But Mercury is the most influenced by other planets. That's the thing. So Mercury picks up energy and distributes his Marana Sthana energy. It can become very complicated. But let's understand that even though He is perhaps a little less dangerous, if I can just say that with caution, because the whole chart has to be seen. Marana Karaka Sthana Mercury. Nevertheless, he is not happy in the house. He cannot be truly happy in this fourth house. It will impact early home life. You may feel out on a limb, not nourished, not understood, a bit different in some way. Relationship with the mother impacted also. Mercury can make a very witty, intellectual, humorous mother who definitely has a very long-lasting impact on you. You can even become friends with her. She may be sort of like a friendly figure to you, but the nourishment, emotional nourishment may be lacking. Depends, of course, on the other factors in your chart, but that can be seen. Later on in life, Mercury can make you dissatisfied with your whole domestic situation, always moving somewhere, traveling, not necessarily moving home, but being away from the home. That can be seen. Mercury represents money, commerce, business, etc. He is well situated opposite 10th house, workplace, but not 4th house. 4th house is the actual house of peace, domesticity, happiness. Mercury is about ruthless business dealings. There is little compatibility in this placement, as you can see. Physically and mentally also, Mercury is totally incompatible with this sphere. Mercury is about intellectual analysis, but this is a house of peace and happiness. When you are analyzing everything, how can you be happy? When you are picking everything to bits, critiquing everything, that is Mercury's desire. It cannot sustain happiness in your life, which is the purpose of the house. But as always, there is a positive side to this. You see, Mercury rules nature. Mercury rules the earth. You can make yourself more peaceful. You can find more stillness inside. Calm down this restless Mercury by working in nature near your home. Now, this depends completely on your whole domestic setup. You may have houseplants, minimum, nurture them. That will calm down Mercury, make you happier, more stable, definitely. Or you can have garden, trees, nature, wild animals around you, caring for them. All of these things will be pleasing to Buddha and will calm down the Marana Sthana situation of this planet in your chart. Mercury's gone into a Marana Sthana, also 7th house, where he is opposite to his Digbala, strongest position, 1st house. He's still witty, integrated maybe, but not so sociable. He feels like he's gone into a situation where he cannot thrive, where he has to constantly cooperate, has to constantly depend on other people's approval. And this is very, very difficult, can actually knock the confidence out of Buddha completely. Mercury has a very subtle influence here. Don't forget that actually 7th house planets generally are outside of our personal awareness, signified by ascendant, furthest away. So we project this onto others. It gets a bit complicated, but definitely see Gemini sign, Virgo sign in your chart, because some stalling, some lack of progress, lack of confidence even in those areas, Gemini, Virgo in your chart, will be definitely seen because of this Marana Sthana Mercury. 7th house is quite a serious house. Public commitment, marriage, potentially having children, ultimately having a home, having future generations depend on this. It's a really serious thing, this marriage house. Mercury is like a child. He's fun, he wants enjoyment, he wants light-hearted affairs maybe, or he is just a bit innocent about relationships. I've actually seen this. Mercury has a very special sexuality, by the way, which I need to discuss on another video. So even sometimes homosexuality can be here. There can be no sexuality at all. Friendship, relationships, very different sorts of bondings can occur because of this Mercury's needs. That is one thing. You see, Mercury is a friendship planet. That's the thing. He's a friendship planet in the house of marriage. Now, We can be friends with our spouse, with our partner, definitely, but Mercury puts that foremost, and so there is some definite conflict here. I've even seen people with this Marana Sthana Mercury stay friends with their ex-partners. It can actually get quite interesting. See, at heart, Mercury is trusting, innocent, like a child. So sometimes people with this Marana Sthana 7th house Mercury can put themselves into some very difficult relationship situations. They can have broken hearts, letdowns, because they are so trusting of other people. This can be seen as well. But don't forget, Buddha in a Marana Sthana position is perhaps some of the least troubling positions you can see. I've discussed this in the 4th house section of the video. So Mercury, everything depends so much who he is with. He will take on the absolute character of that planet. And that planet will be in some way damaged because of Mercury's Marana Sthana, but Mercury can be also lifted out a little bit because of his huge adaptability. He can adapt to even the worst situation. That's the point. Now, the 7th house is not just marriage, it's business. And Mercury is a business planet. You'd think this was going to be great, but it isn't for all the reasons I have discussed. Mercury becomes light-hearted about business here. He doesn't even want to do any business. He's not interested. He doesn't want to be exploitative, which you have to have that little bit of an edge, don't you? So Mercury loses all of that. But here is where it becomes a good thing. Now, Mercury therefore becomes not greedy for material gain. You see, Mercury is Rajas, passionate planet who wants material factors and growth. But he's gone Marana Sthana. He's lost all of that. It's died. He hasn't got that greed. But that's a good thing because greed can be very negative. And that's the key, really, to making the best of this Marana Sthana Mercury 7th house. Keep yourself ethical, business-wise, and in relationships. Finally, very important, keep yourself socially integrated. Mercury is social integration. He's a big social butterfly, but he's gone into a death-like situation. Sometimes you want to shut yourself away. You can become even a little bit isolated by this Mercury, depending on the actual situation, especially when he's alone, funnily enough, 7th house. So keep yourself socially connected, very important. When Venus is in the 6th house of any chart, everyone, it's in a Marana Sthana position. Why? Because the 6th house is totally incompatible with everything which Venus is trying to do. You see, 6th house is a house of conflict, fighting, litigation, and actually the house of celibacy. Why is it celibacy? Because it is the 12th house to the 7th house. It is where there is lack of partner, lack of sexual intercourse, or there is a decision to become celibate. So Venus is not happy in such a situation. How can he pursue his agenda easily? But check the end of the video. There's some very famous charts with Venus 6th house you will be able to see. And some have very long-lasting relationships. So what's going on? Venus here is going to give you high critique of the partner. You are dissatisfied in relationships. Conflicts come up continually, and settling down in any relationship becomes difficult, becomes very, very hard work when you have Venus 6th house. You see, Venus is reaching out. Venus is connecting from the heart, which you have to do to have deep, intimate connection. And this is a house of enemies, a house of fighting, the actual house of lack of trust. So Venus becomes untrusting here, suspicious, and this can harm relationships. It's without doubt that intimate, romantic, even marital relationships bring you stress with this Venus 6th house. Don't forget, all of these Marana Sthana positions coming from some definite past karma, which has to be remedied here. You have to take on board this stress and absolutely transform it. How do you make this Venus situation work for you, 6th house? Because don't forget, there is a good side to every Marana Sthana position. Because Venus is dying literally here, he is losing some of his greed for pleasure. You are willing to put aside your pleasure for service to other people. This is going to redeem the position completely. So bringing peace where there is discord, working in a very service attitude in your community, helping others, maybe non-human beings, children, definitely, helping others with a very high lack of self-regard. So it's not about peace for yourself, but bringing peace to other people. This is where Venus comes out of this Marana Sthana position. When you include this service attitude, you find happiness, you find peace. Thinking about self, me, will never work when you have Venus in the 6th house in this position. Mars is in a death-like situation when he's in the 7th house, Marana Karaka Sthana. It's a bit like Venus in this 6th house, as I've just discussed. Venus wants relationship, but he's in the house of celibacy, 6th house. Mars wants celibacy, but he's in the house of marriage. It's, again, totally incompatible. Now, Mangala Mars is in the house of marriage. He's in a Marana Sthana position in relation to marriage, most definitely. Check out the situation of the Mangalic Dosh, which you also have when you have Mars here. There's a video on my channel talking about that. The link is below to understand the deeper implications of this Mars 7th house in relationships and to seek remedy there. But you know, Mars is also Kartikeya, general of the army of the gods. He wants to fight. He's a mighty fighter. And this is a house not only of marriage, where fighting is not welcome, but it is the house of war. This is why it's a death-like situation for Mars. He's in the marriage house. He has to have copulation. There has to be sexuality here. That's what marriage is all about. So that has to happen, but he doesn't want that to happen. He's a celibate warrior and he's in the house of war. He wants to go onto the battlefield, but he's being distracted. There's a huge pile of anger, irritation, and almost desperation I've seen with this 7th house Mars sometimes. So without doubt, Mangala Marana Sthana will create conflicts in relationship because your ego, your fighting is so strong. When you want a person, when you desire a relationship, you will fight to the death for it, right? And you will fight for the death in the relationship as well. Literally, you have a big ego in the relationship, creating conflict. But Mars is dying as well. So you will have to compromise. You will have to calm down this Mars to have satisfactory relationship. That's a certainty. Don't forget, 7th house is not just marriage. It is dealing with every other person in your life. It is the public in general, the marketplace. So Mars makes you impulsive, irritable, angry, making snap decisions, doing impulsive things all the time. People don't know where they are with you. Generally, everybody, you can be highly irritating person to other people, depending if there is no beneficent aspect to this Mars. The more afflicted Mangala is here, the more difficult a person you can be to deal with generally. 7th house is also business, but this Marana Sthana Mars is like in a death-like situation. As I say, he can become ruthless because he's got nothing to lose. So business people, ruthless decisions, exploitative. You could perhaps make a lot of profit here, but he is aspecting ascendant, so your health could suffer. Stress levels extremely high indeed. There can be many health concerns. There can be fevers, accidents, all sorts of sudden afflictions by this Marana Sthana Mars, aspecting ascendant. What is a good side to Mars, you may think, in this Marana Sthana position? Is there one? There certainly is. The natural 7th house is Libra, everybody. Libra means teamwork, cooperation. Mars must find a team. Mars must work in a business team. Definitely then he can be successful. Going off on his own, high horse, doing things my way or the highway, will not work with this Marana Sthana Mars. Same in intimate relationships. Partner, spouse must be a teammate. When you are working together, maybe doing some business together, that would be ideal. When you are working together as a team, this can be highly successful. Ego has to drop. Everything should be team decision. Then Mars becomes much more happier here and less desperate. Jupiter, who is guru, who is teacher, who is the most beneficent, learned, And spiritual planet representing God in our life has gone into the third house. This is a not pleasant situation for Guru to be. He is in a definite Maraka Sthana. This is not just because Jupiter has gone opposite to his own natural house, Sagittarius, far away from his home. It's much more deeper. Third house is a house of Mars Karaka. It's a house of fighting. It's a house of arms, taking arms, fighting. But Jupiter is the peace planet. He wants peace. He wants learning, not fighting. The third house is also about fun and games in life, playing around, not being serious, but most importantly, it's the actual house of sexual intercourse itself. It's the actual house of copulation. Jupiter belongs in the holy places, temples, churches, etc. He does not belong in such a place. How can he teach spiritual truths in such a situation? He is most miserable here. But we know in astrology, Jupiter expands the energy of the house. So here, unfortunately, sexuality can become extremely high. It can take over the life completely. Sex nature, sometimes, some charts see the aspects and sign. It can make you mentally desiring stimulation every moment. You become bored quickly. You have to be doing something new all the time. Sitting still, meditating becomes virtually impossible, getting the higher learnings because of this restless nature. People who are virtually glued to their mobile phone, who feel like in a death-like situation without a Wi-Fi connection. Now, I know that can be many people this age, but definitely many have this Jupiter position. Don't forget, Jupiter is God in our chart, divine nature in our chart. So when Jupiter is in this Marana Sthana position, something has cut off the connection between us and the Supreme, or we are cutting it off ourselves. We have to look at it closely. I've seen many people with atheistic tendencies actually have this Jupiter because divine knowledge, divine wisdom is an interference for them. Or they can get involved in religion, philosophy, but use it for selfish reasons, for their own manipulation. That can be seen. You see, third house is the house of ego. Jupiter has expanded the ego to the topmost here, and that puts a barrier between us and the Supreme. We have to become small, insignificant, humble to connect to God, and that can become a problem here. Now, some of the Karaka significances are definitely going to be in a dying situation here. I haven't seen so much difficulty with children, however, but there can be loss of connection sometimes. Generally, though, it's not seen. Jupiter third house definitely impacts education. There can be broken learning situation many times. Disconnection with father, difficulty with authority figures. This is commonly seen. Now, Jupiter is generally Karaka for the husband in a female chart. So being here, two things can happen. Jupiter represents husband as guide, giving help, giving inspiration. You don't actually want to take that inspiration. So there can be difficulty, or you don't feel husband is inspiring, more of a hindrance. So Jupiter here, I've seen many female charts can cause a disharmony in the marriage situation. Or sometimes the husband can be definitely giving bad advice, giving false advice to you. Occasionally that can be seen. You've got to see the whole chart, planets involved. Something else can be seen. Jupiter is in the house of high sexuality. So a very strong sexual attraction to your choice of spouse in a female chart can be seen, even in a male chart, but female chart definitely. And after marriage, after long-term commitment, different philosophical systems become obvious, causing conflict. Now, what is a good thing here? Every Marana Karaka Sthana has a good side. Jupiter is the teacher. He's gone into the house of communication. There are very many special talents that can be brought out here. So what happens is teachers, bloggers, communicators, social influencers, writers definitely take higher philosophical concept or academic concept, whatever it is, breaking it down into smaller understandable parts so that it becomes easily digestible. Knowledge becomes understandable by everybody. That's a very special talent here, something you should consider using. However, having said that, remember Jupiter is pure, unselfish giving. So you have to give that knowledge out in a pure way. If you manipulate the knowledge, change it. Of course, you may tend to make it entertaining. That's the nature of this third house. But if you make it impure, then that can have a negative consequence. So keep it high-minded. Fantastic for teachers, media people. Now Saturn, Shani, becomes in a Marana Sthana when he's in the first house, in the ascendant of the chart. Why? Because he is Karaka for suffering, difficulty, trial, tribulation, karmic payback, and particularly he can bring health issues. But he's in the actual house of vitality, health, well-being. How can he bring difficulty into the house where there is well-being? He cannot shine here. He cannot lift you up when he is in ascendant. Saturn is anyway a difficult planet, but his Digbala is 7th house, where he gets diplomacy, ability to do good business, ability to actually sustain relationships, 7th house, mostly depending of course on his condition. But when he's gone opposite 1st house, he is losing all of that potency. Shani has come onto the lagna, onto the head. He brings depression, he brings anxiety, he brings general lack of confidence, self-esteem, at least early in life. Very early childhood, this Saturn can be most difficult. Shani can go to extremes, actually, 1st house. There is no moderation like he has in the opposite house. Here, he will either make you work 24/7, you never stop, or you become lazy. You become disillusioned with the work, with your career, with what you are doing, cannot find worthy work, want to work hard but don't know what to work hard at. So too much effort, not pacing it. That can be seen, Saturn 1st house. Saturn is also Karaka for democracy, common man, has a lot to do with political situations coming onto your head. You take a lot of interest in this, or you are completely not interested, one of the two. You become overwhelmed by the political situation, not knowing what to do about it. So Saturn can lead very often from many situations: childhood, genetic factors, health factors, political climate, to depression, feeling overwhelmed by many situations in life. And this is something which you're going to have to deal with. So when you have Saturn in his death-like Marana Sthana situation, it's hard to bear weight in this life. And what I mean by that is not physical weight, but mental weight. You need a lot of support, people around you, when you have Shani 1st house. But it can impact relationship because there is a big focus on self. If it is afflicted, there can be selfish, manipulative behavior, which is not helpful. But this feeling of overburden, which many people have, Shani 1st house, depending on the other planets involved, of course, aspecting, you have to lift it up. And this relieves the pressure on you. And Saturn becomes much more favorable here. What do you have to do? What is the good side of this Marana Karaka Sthana? You have to be like Saturn in his attitude of equality and fairness. The one thing Saturn supports always, don't forget, Multicone sign Aquarius, he supports equality, democracy. You have to treat everybody equally. You have to give help to the downtrodden people, sick people, poor people. You have to make this mission. And definitely, if you do that, this Saturn becomes tremendously positive, not negative factor. And by the way, health-wise, something you can definitely do, keep yourself moving physically and mentally. Keep the mind active. If you do this, if you keep activity high level in your life, Saturn is moved upwards, moved outwards, moved into a much happier situation. Stagnation is not allowed to happen, and the blood flows in your body. Saturn can stagnate this, by the way. So keep moving physically, mentally, lift up this Shani Marana Sthana position. Rahu has a Marana Sthana when he's in the 9th house of the chart. The 9th house is a natural house of Jupiter, Guru, everything which is pure spiritual wisdom, knowledge, temple, church, mosque, all of the places which should be pure. Rahu is impurity, dirt. He is the most impure. He is actually bringing poison where there should be absolute cleanliness and purity. See, to understand this, we have to understand Rahu is cause of rebirth. He wants to tempt you into material situation, into sensuality, into wrong actions, all sorts of sins and impurities. He's the ruler of them, but he's gone into the house of God, as it were. He's gone where Guru is. He cannot be happy there because he cannot do his dirty work, if you like. So he is at a loss what to do, and he will get up to some serious tricks here. First thing he will definitely do, make you restless in life, take you into foreign lands where you may have difficulty, may be cheated or may be tempted to cheat others even sometimes. Very difficult situations, foreign lands. I've seen Rahu, 9th house. It's the house of philosophy, religion. Rahu will be greedy for all the philosophy, all the religion, so he can exploit it, use it for his own gain. This is a difficult thing. So Marana Sthana Rahu makes you greedy for philosophy, greedy for religious understanding. You sincerely want this, but what are you doing with it? Now, you have to see the whole situation, sign, planets here, everything else. But even Rahu can definitely lead you into a false guru situation, false philosophy, which you think is everything and then you find is absolutely empty. Rahu is outside the borders. He wants to do things which are different. Once again, he feels constrained. There is this push-pull thing here, depending on the chart. And if you have Jupiter aspect here, philosophy, religion is important in this lifetime for you. You are seeking it really strongly, but you have to be enormously cautious of false avenues. See, Rahu is the rebel, and he's in the house where there has to be some sense of learning, conformity, listening to the guru, listening to the teacher. But you are rebelling against every teacher, every philosophy, even against father, by the way, sometimes here. You will rebel against anyone who you think is trying to constrain you by their philosophy, by their traditions, by anything. Even if you find some newfangled belief system, religion, or anything which is new to you, according to your tradition, you will eventually start to rebel against it. So it's hard to find consistency. How can you make this Marana Sthana position of Rahu work for you? What is good about it? It's one of the most difficult positions of all the Marana Sthana because Rahu is disrupting settle factor in your life. He's taken you outside of the borders, taking you into this philosophy, that situation, into some foreign land situation, traveling a lot maybe, but you will get confusion, difficulty, even exploitation there. You have to come home. By the way, by come home, I do not mean if you are living foreign land, you've got to give it up, come home. No. I mean you've got to come home within yourself. Rather than continually seeking outside for the answers, find them inside. That's the key. And finally, another beneficial factor about Rahu here is that Rahu is a spy. He is the undercover agent, and he will uncover corruption. It's a bit strange. He is corruption, he is deception, but he will also uncover it. Sometimes that is absolutely needed to happen, and you can be excellent doing that. That's another benefit. Ketu, the south node of the moon, is in a Marana Sthana position, a death-like situation in the 4th house. Why? Karaka is moon. Moon is what is eclipsed by Ketu. They are not friendly to each other. Definitely Ketu does not like this 4th house. 4th house is home, happiness, material, domesticity, all of the things that keep us most attached to this world. Family as well. And Ketu is here to break it all up. Ketu wants to take us out of this material, false sense of security. So how can he be happy in this house? Hey everyone, Ketu is the actual planet, although he is shadow planet. He is a point that is taking us away to moksha, to liberation. But what keeps us here are our false temporary attachments. Home, family, belonging, country, all of these strong emotions keep us here birth after birth, taking rebirth without end. But Ketu wants to end that. How can he do so when we are so attached? Ketu is the sadhu, the renunciate, who is turning his back on this material situation. So he is most disturbed in this so-called house of happiness when he knows there is no happiness. He knows it is all illusion. How can he be happy? But you may feel you are happy, but you will have disturbance. Ketu, fourth house, disturbs domestic situation. You feel restless, ill at ease. So Ketu gives a big sense of dissatisfaction in your domestic life, in your home life. You may be never even in the home, always going somewhere else, traveling somewhere else. Sometimes you can have more than one home because Ketu is actually buildings. You may have landed property, buildings, many things depending on sign, aspects, etc. So much to see, but whatever you've got, small amount of property, no property, small flat, whatever you've got, wherever you're living, you're never settled there. You're always going somewhere else. This is the house of the mother. Ketu here, mother may be from foreign land, distant place, and not settled herself when you are in your early childhood situation, or she may be moving, traveling. There is some disturbance there in the relationship, although it is maybe very, very strong and highly karmic. But the general restlessness of this Ketu fourth house seems to generally affect male chart. I've seen more than female chart. You can check that out yourself because females absorb this energy into the home. I don't want to be too sexist here, but that's the factor. Whereas the male energy with this Rahu 10th house, all of the energy goes into seeking fame, seeking acclaim, seeking public success. Females may do as well, but they can still absorb more of this Ketu fourth house. But in both male chart, female chart, how do you make the most of this Marana Karaka Sthana Ketu? How do you make it work? There's always a positive side. You have to make the home a temple, make it a religious meditation center, have some other worldly quality to it. Don't make it totally about material factors. If you can bring that purer energy into the home, it can settle this Marana Sthana Ketu. It's the cancellation of Marana Karaka Sthana. Everybody wants to know, in the Vedic system, how can we cancel these difficult karmas, difficult dosha in our chart, including Marana Karaka Sthana. Now, is there a true cancellation? Yes, there can be a real easing, and I'm going to show you how that can happen. But there is still tendencies there because don't forget, we are born with these placements in our charts for a karmic reason and we have to live them through. But still, yes, there can be some helpful factors. Let's have a look. So ideally then we're looking for two things to happen, everybody. First of all, Marana Karaka Sthana planet should be either exalted or in own sign. And secondly, together with that, Karaka should be strong. Karaka for the house, not lord of the house. This can be a little bit misleading, so let me go through this. In case you're not sure of those positions, everybody, Sun is exalted in Aries. Own sign is, of course, Leo. And if you have Sun 12th house, you should have Saturn, Karaka strong. Check where Saturn is in that chart. Saturn own sign, Capricorn, Aquarius, exaltation, Libra. Karaka for this first house, which needs to be strong, is the Sun. Jupiter, Karaka for the house, by the way, is Mars. Exaltation sign is Cancer. Own sign, Pisces, Sagittarius. Mercury's exaltation and own sign, Virgo. Own sign, Gemini as well. Ketu, exaltation, Sagittarius. Own sign, Scorpio, Pisces. Karaka for the fourth house should be strong. Karaka is the moon. Venus exaltation, Pisces, own sign, Taurus and Libra. Karaka for this sixth house, Saturn. Saturn must be strong in the chart. Mars exaltation Capricorn, own sign Scorpio Aries, Mercury own sign Gemini exaltation and own sign Virgo. Karaka for the 7th house is Venus, should be strong in the chart. Moon's own sign is of course Cancer, but also Taurus, don't forget. Taurus is also exaltation sign. Karaka for this 8th house is Saturn. Saturn should be strong in the chart. Rahu is in own sign Aquarius and also Virgo, and his exaltation sign is Gemini. Check out Jupiter though when he is here. Jupiter should be strong in the chart as he is Karaka for the 9th house. Finally, we must see example charts. I'm not going to go too deep into this. We're going to focus on the MKS only, but we're going to see really good examples here. I hope you will find these helpful. Start with the chart of Adolf Hitler, of course, the very cause of the Second World War and all the devastation and horror of that situation wreaked onto the world in 1939. But actually, we have to start here because his chart is one of the strongest examples of the devastation wreaked by Marana Karaka Sthana. The death-like energy not just affecting him, but actually the whole world. So we have to start here. So here we find Mars, Marana Sthana, 7th house, Mercury, Rahu and Jupiter. Mars own sign, Rahu exalted, Jupiter own sign. But here's the thing, they are powerful, that's for sure, but the Karaka significator, as I've spoken about, is necessary to lift them out. Karaka for these houses does not help. In fact, as I'm going to show you, Karaka significator for all of these Marana Sthana planets simply digs them deeper into a terrible circle of destruction. Mars in Aries is a very strong fighting energy. He is the actual general of the army when he's in Aries Mars, but he's Marana Karaka Sthana. And Karaka Venus cannot bring him out, nor Mercury out. Venus is the lord of the chart, but he's retrograde, exactly combust to this Marana Sthana planet. 2 planets actually. So he is being dragged down into this whirlwind of absolute destructive energy. 7th house, of course, is the house of warfare. And in addition, Sun exalted gave him position, power, government position, definitely, but he is also dragged down into this destructive energy. There is no saving grace at all. Venus, Mars, Gandanta, 7th house like this makes him unstable in his relationships, makes him volatile, makes him emotional, makes him even mentally unstable because Mercury is there. This is the relationship house, a lot of destruction there. Every single female he was involved with either threw themselves off a building, killed themselves, or did some other trauma associated. And Mars is spouse. On the day he married, he died. He killed himself and so did the wife. A very devastating yoga having final impact. Next, Rahu, Marana Sthana in the 9th house of philosophy, religion. Actually, he was an atheist because Jupiter, Karaka here, is in the actual 3rd house of atheistic philosophy. I have discussed that, but race philosophy, philosophy of nations, all of this stuff, false and dangerous philosophy, he disseminated all of this through the Jupiter Karaka. Yes, Rahu is exalted, but to a terrible conclusion. Of course, Jupiter is in own sign, though he is Marana Sthana, and he is in the house of communication. So he gets very, very powerful communication, but the wrong communication, death-like communication, literally popular though, because Moon is public to begin with. He had enormous popularity, and the Karaka is the most important thing to see. Is this Jupiter coming out of Marana Sthana? No. Why? Karaka for the 3rd house, as I've shown you, is Mars. Where is Mars? Marana Sthana, 7th house. We are back to the very beginning. A total circle of absolute unbelievable destruction. Now, the actress Jennifer Annison. We are definitely looking at 2 Marana Karaka Sthana here. Quite serious positions. Venus in the 6th house and Mercury in the 4th house. Now, she has had 2 marriages and many publicized difficulties in her relationships, some sorrow, serious breakups, and Venus is the lord of her chart. Gone into a death-like situation, she's suffered quite a lot of difficulty. However, Venus is exalted here in the sign of Pisces. This should help cancel Marana Sthana, but actually it's not going to work like that. Exactly why? Because Karaka for the house has to be strong. Karaka is Saturn. Saturn is with Rahu in this 6th house. He is strong but malefic intent. Venus is surrounded by 2 malefics, 2 difficult relationships, 2 difficult situations. Definite difficult past life karma is being carried by this young lady. Well, she's not so young now, but definitely by this individual. And Venus's other significations are definitely affected by this Marana Karaka Sthana position, the death-like position of this Venus having children. She has no children. She might have made a decision for that, but it is shown by this Marana Sthana position. Rahu and Saturn rule children house, and they are both involved actually strongly in this Marana Sthana position. So situation, circumstance did not allow that. Whether she made a decision or not, that can be seen in the chart. Mercury, Marana Sthana, not as devastatingly impacted as Venus here. So she had some insecurity in her early upbringing. Definitely parents divorced when she was 9. All of the factors I've discussed already on the video about Mercury's position 4th house. But this insecurity, I believe, has become internalized within Jennifer here. Why? Because Mercury is not strong by sign in any way, and the Karaka significator moon is in a debilitated state as well in Scorpio. See another chart with a Marana Sthana Venus, the Prince of Wales in the UK, heir to the throne of England. Yes, he is happily married, but he has Venus Marana Sthana. He doesn't find relationships easy. All of the issues I've mentioned on the video, trust concerns, intimacy concerns, they are all there, whether we see them or not, with Prince William. In addition, Mercury is involved here. Mercury, lord of the wife, is involved in this 6th house. I have actually heard they are actually having some humdinger arguments. People have put this into the internet space, servants of the house, etc. What can I say? I'm not surprised seeing the chart at all. Why is this? Because 6th house is about conflicts, arguments, even enemies. Is the wife becoming an enemy? Not exactly, but he is not opening up. He is not fully trusting. Whatever it is, mother issues, early relationships, we don't know, but it is there. And Karaka for the house. Venus is strong by sign. That is helpful to cancel it a little bit. But Karaka, is it strong? Saturn is the Karaka for the 6th house, 10th house. Duty, tradition, hard work, but with Mars. Mars, lord of the 5th house, lord of kingship. So this relationship helps his status, helps his kingship. Something else I have heard, she is so popular, she is increasing his popularity. That's a fact. Our next Marana Sthana chart is his wife, Princess Kate, Princess of Wales, due to be Queen of England in due course. What a chart she has. 3 benefics Kendra. Wow. What fortune she has also got in the D9 chart. But that's for another analysis. Let's just see though. What has she got? Marana Karaka Sthana then. It is Mercury in the 7th house. Quite interesting actually. Princess Kate has Mercury, Marana Karaka Sthana with Venus, and her husband, Prince William, has Venus, Marana Karaka Sthana with Mercury. There's something going on here. It's how they met, how they first started their relationship. You see, Mercury MKS 7th house gives, as I described on the video, lack of commitment, fear of commitment, running away from it, playing around with it. They were together for a long time, having a relationship, living together for a very, very long time. And they split up as well. We don't know all the details, who wanted to split, whatever, but she took a long time to commit to this, I would say, because of Mercury's Marana Sthana position. And very interesting, Lord of this, sorry, not Lord of the house, Karaka of the house is Venus. And Venus is with Mercury, helping here a little bit. Yes, Mercury will affect Venus, but Venus is going to affect Mercury. As I described, Mercury Marana Sthana is the most influence in a beneficial way when he is with benefics. Now, Mercury is not exalted, not own sign. He isn't going to have any cancellation of this Marana Karaka Sthana Mercury. She can be critical. She can be a little bit afraid of commitment, but Venus actually helps. Venus is Karaka. Conjunction here won't have any cancellation, of course, but helps Mercury enormously. Venus, 7th house, seeks diplomacy, seeks to absolutely bring harmony between people in general in the life and with the spouse. This will definitely help. Maybe she had lack of commitment, but once she makes it, that's a good thing. You see, Venus, Capricorn in any case, seeks tradition, seeks stability, seeks status even in the relationship. So she's got that most definitely. So she will actually cope, I think, with this Mercury Marana Sthana quite well. The royal chart. Queen Elizabeth II, recently deceased, but the longest reigning monarch in the United Kingdom. Moon, 8th house, Marana Sthana, and Mercury, 4th house, in a Marana Sthana position. How can there be Marana Sthana in such a successful reign, long life, etc.? Well, the good thing is that both are on their own. No planets are with them. This is very, very helpful, as I have discussed earlier on in the video. Now, Moon in the 8th house can give internalized emotion, difficulty expressing emotion. Elizabeth II definitely had this. This has been well demonstrated. She was very contained in her emotional self-expression. Maybe there was also some distance difficulty with her mother, the Queen Mother as she was known. We don't know about that, but certainly her emotional expression, emotional flow was absolutely contained. But don't forget, Moon is own sign. Is it going to come out of this Marana Sthana? It isn't actually, because Karaka for this 8th house is Saturn. Saturn is in 12th house in Scorpio, not well placed. So she isn't coming out of it. She has to live with it, deal with it, and she seems to have succeeded in that. But there were some of the problems I've associated with this Marana Sthana moon for certain. She had 4 children and they are healthy, nothing there, but she had difficulty bonding definitely with first child, Charles, who is actually King of England right now. Video on my channel, Charles III, check it out, because I document how he had difficult maternal relationships. So here it is, also showing in her own chart. She had a lot of stress as well with children, because all of them divorced, had some difficult, stressful relationship situations, and she was certainly impacted emotionally. That is shown by this Marana Sthana moon. But the child she was emotionally closest to, third child, Prince Andrew, has had scandal and absolute public disgrace, and she therefore has been emotionally impacted by that. Mercury, 4th house. This is an interesting factor because this is about early education not being the best. Now, she was tutored. She didn't actually go to school, any sort of school. And we don't know all of the details about that, but it looks like it was not the best education, or she didn't like it a lot, because Mercury is also debilitated. Marana Karaka Sthana, Mercury and debilitated, she's going to have big difficulty making decisions, and this was largely documented. Actually, Mercury is 7th house lord. It's going to impact relationship with the spouse, or that he makes all the decisions. Again, that was a little bit talked about. Now, Mercury Marana Karaka Sthana is going to be not too bad as well because there are no malefics involved here. So she had property, land. She was the Queen of England, of course, but she was never settled in her many homes. She was always moving between them. That was one of the main characteristics of her reign. Very typical of this Mercury 4th house MKS position. Next chart, Elvis Presley. No MKS birth chart, but two powerful Marana Karaka Sthana placements in the D9 chart, fortune and marriage. Mars, 7th house, relationship house, and Sun in the 12th house. Sun, 12th house, D9. He has difficulty expressing self in his intimate relationships. Being himself, it's a real problem. There's no cancellation here because Sun is in Scorpio, not exalted, not own sign. But Karaka helps his fortune in this 11th house. Saturn, Karaka for this Sun gives him fame, gives him fortune, gives him wealth. In Libra, exalted in the house of gain. But in the 7th house, marriage house of the D9 chart, Mars is there, not exalted, not own sign, Gemini. This is a frivolous thing. He's going to be volatile, argumentative, egotistical, hard to live with, I would imagine. A very hard person to have an intimate relationship with. That is shown here. And is Venus, Karaka here, helping at all? No, it's not. Venus is in Aquarius, not a good sign. Shani, Rahu sign. And worst, of course, 3rd house. 3rd house, sexual intercourse, copulation house. This is a house of extramarital affairs. He was only married once to Lisa Maria Presley, and right throughout the marriage, he was always having extramarital affairs. So they divorced in the end. And then after that, he was pretty miserable. It is documented in his personal relationships. No stability, affairs, etc., but no happiness. Next, Jonny Depp. A lot on my channel for sure, but well worth bringing here because just like Elvis, no MKS D1 birth chart, but 3 planets actually, D9, relationship, fortune, are in a Marana Karaka Sthana. Ketu, 4th house, Saturn, 1st house, and the Sun in the 12th house. Now, Ketu is in Sagittarius and Sun is in Leo. Is this going to help? No, there is no cancellation happening because Karakas are not helping. Let's see. Ketu, 4th house, D9. Don't forget, 4th house, D9 has a foreign land indication as well. Check my video D9 chart. But it's about domestic restlessness as well in his intimate relationships, for sure. Marana Karaka Sthana. But is it coming out? It is exalted, good, but where is the Karaka gone? Ketu, Marana Sthana in the 4th house, restlessness in a domestic sense and a lot of foreign travel. It's in Sagittarius. 4th house, D9, by the way, has a lot to do with foreign lands as well. See my video, D9 chart. But here's the thing. Is it coming out of this MKS? Ketu? No, it's not. Karaka moon is with Saturn, a malefic, not well placed. And Saturn and the Sun are definitely not lifted out. See how this goes. Saturn, Karaka here, 1st house, is the Sun. Sun is in 12th house, Marana Sthana himself. Sun's position, Karaka, is Shani, and Shani is in a Marana Sthana position. He's in a loop of lack of self-confidence in his relationships. We mightn't see that, but that is shown there. But a really strong ego. Hard to cooperate. Depression, lack of self-esteem. It's all hidden, but it's all definitely there. Coming into a volatile relationship situation, as I explained on my D9 video with this Mars Rahu. It's not easy at all for Jonny Depp. Intimacy is a struggle. Now, look at Madonna's chart because this is quite interesting. Right now, she is in Marana Karaka Sthana Mahadasha. Jupiter is in MKS birth chart, but Vargotama also MKS in the 3rd house D9 because she has Vargotama ascendant. Vargotama ascendant helps health. That is just as well because right now it is seriously bad for her. Surprising then to hear that she's had to cancel a tour. She's been hospitalized with a serious bacterial infection, not the first recently. She's in Jupiter, Sun, Mahadasha 2, Marana Sthana planets. And Sun, of course, is in the house of hospitals. This is not the easiest time, Madonna, to go on a world tour, one would say, consult an astrologer and just cancel it. But of course, she won't be consulting me at all. You know what? Madonna is extremely self-willed. Jupiter, 3rd house, Marana Karaka Sthana. She only listens to herself. Well, that's just the way it is. And Jupiter, Rahu, Guru, Chandal, Yoga. She may not get the best advice sometimes. That's the other thing. Relationships as well, of course. Jupiter, Marana Karaka Sthana, 3rd house, husband impacted. She's had 2 marriages, none of which were successful. By the way, just in case some of you may be thinking, Vargotama, Marana Sthana planets like she has here, Jupiter, does not cancel it. In fact, it just makes it more intense. Of course, looking at it generally, Jupiter MKS gives high sexuality, as I have explained earlier on in the video. But for Madonna, it's really gone over the top because Rahu is here. It's become extremely so. And Sun, Marana Sthana, affects her confidence. We might never see this, but I would imagine she has had to push herself against the odds sometimes. As she said, she has to get up again over and over, one of her songs, but it definitely impacts father relationship, a big thing for her. Are the Karaka significations helping Madonna? No, they're not. Let's see. Now, 3rd house Karaka is Mars, whereas Mars is with a malefic Ketu. Mars Ketu is a very malefic yoga. This is not going to help at all. Furthermore, we have to understand that Jupiter is not even exalted or in own sign. Sun, also MKS, is in Cancer, not exalted, not own sign. But where is the Karaka gone? Scorpio, not a good sign. And in 4th house, loss of the mother, sorrow with the mother, affecting her self-esteem and sense of identity a little bit, certainly. Furthermore, this Sun, 12th house, gives her an inner feeling of not projecting herself well in relationships. Why? Because it is with Venus. So Venus is affected by this MKS Sun. As I say, marriages not successful and many love affairs. That's Madonna. Hope the video was helpful to you all, everybody. Don't forget to sub below and check out the other videos in my Secrets of Astrology series. Goodbye for now and God bless everyone.